So today, we're going to dive into a really powerful idea, one that gets right to the heart of our crazy, fast-paced world. It's this concept of liquid times, brought to us by the brilliant sociologist Zygmunt Bauman.
Let's just start with a feeling. I think a lot of us can relate to this. You know that sense that you're just constantly running on a treadmill? Where everything around you feels temporary, like it could all just change in a heartbeat.
I mean, think about it. The whole idea of a job for life, that's basically ancient history now, right? We move to different cities more than ever before. And sometimes, even our connections with people can feel, well, kind of fleeting, almost disposable. It really is a world that's just in constant motion.
Well, this feeling actually has a name, liquid modernity. And that's the core idea we're going to unpack today. It's Bauman's way of describing a society where all the things that used to be our anchors, stable careers, tight-knit communities, long-term relationships, are kind of melting away. They've become fluid, unable to keep their shape for long.
And the man who gave us this incredible metaphor was the Polish sociologist Zygmunt Bauman. In his landmark book, he used this idea of liquid modernity to really diagnose the deep, deep uncertainty that just defines our times.
So who was this guy? To really get his ideas, it helps to understand his life story, which was, let's just say, anything but stable.
Bauman's life was literally shaped by huge, violent disruptions. He was born in Poland to a Jewish family, and as a teenager, he had to flee the Nazi invasion. Then, decades later, after he'd returned to his home country, he was forced into exile all over again, this time by an anti-Semitic campaign from the communist government. So his own personal experience with this constant upheaval gave him this really unique and profound insight into a world where nothing feels solid anymore.
Okay, so this brings us to the real heart of Bauman's work, this massive shift he saw happening in the very foundation of our society. It's the move from what he called a solid world to the liquid one we're all living in now. He framed it as this huge transition from a society of producers to a society of consumers. And listen, this isn't just about shopping. It's a fundamental change in our values, our goals, and even how we see ourselves.
Yeah, this slide just lays out the difference so clearly. That old solid society of producers, it was all about security and things that last. People saved up, they delayed gratification, they built things, careers, families, communities that were meant to be permanent. But the liquid society of consumers, wow, that runs on a totally different engine. Here, the goal is endless choice. The highest values are novelty and getting things right now. The focus is completely on the here and now.
And Bauman just nails this new mindset perfectly with this quote. In our consumer world, the chase is everything. The desire for the next thing is way more exciting than actually having something. The second you arrive, the moment you get the thing you wanted, it's already old news. The journey of wanting is so much better than the destination of having.
So, how does this all play out in our actual lives? Because this isn't just some abstract theory. It has very real, very human consequences.
So what does this liquid world actually feel like to live in? Well, our relationships start to look like the life cycle of a product, kind of fragile and temporary. We see this obsession with celebrity and the ideal body. Both are marketed as things you should aspire to, things you can acquire. And just underneath all of it, there's this constant humming anxiety. I mean, when nothing is stable, how can you ever feel truly secure? Our very sense of who we are gets tied not to our character, but to what we buy.
And this brings us to what might be Bauman's most chilling insight. In a society of consumers, we aren't just the customers. We are also the products. We're under this constant pressure to rebrand ourselves, to upgrade ourselves, to market ourselves, just to stay relevant.
As Bauman puts it so powerfully right here, to even be seen as a person, as a subject, you first have to become a desirable commodity. Your value is tied to your marketability, right? Your ability to sell yourself in this big marketplace of jobs, relationships, and social status.
So in the end, our very identity shifts. It's no longer built on deep community ties or long-term commitments. Instead, it becomes this collage of the brands we wear, the experiences we post online, and the products we own. We literally become what we buy.
And that leaves us with a really profound and, frankly, unsettling question to think about. If everything around us is designed to be temporary, if our world is constantly melting and reforming, how do we find our footing? How do we build a meaningful life or a stable relationship or a lasting sense of who we are? What does it take to build something solid in a liquid world?